The Blades Ramble are proudly supported by our main channel sponsor, My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. We would not be where we are without the incredible support of John and the team. If you're looking to grow your business, contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk today for more information, or follow the link in the description below. And as this is 90 after 90, I want to thank our sponsors, Cosmetic Repair Solutions, an independent award-winning network of vehicle accident repair centres located in Chesterfield, Rotherham, Dinnington, Barnsley and Derby. Visit the website to find out more or get an estimate at cosmeticrepair.co.uk.
Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy. And this is 90 after 90. We have just witnessed 90 minutes of that. Now, there's a few things I could talk to you about. There's a few things I could say. We've been beaten by Birmingham 2-1 in the Cup. And it was a heavily rotated side. I'll take that. It was a side that we weren't expected to win, I would probably say. There were a lot of people going in, particularly after the weekend's performance. A lot of people were going in a little bit nervy about how we could get on, and I understand that too. So there wasn't a lot of expectation, but the first half, I thought we were so far off it. And you've got to take everything in context, so I'm trying not to overreact. And it's not easy to do, because I do tend to jump to these things, as a lot of the fan base do, but I think it's so evident that there's nothing beneath the first team. I want to talk tonight about putting Sam Curtis and Sasnauskas together as a right-back and a right centre-back pairing, because I think that in itself is so young, so naive, and that is the side that we got done by for the first goal. I'm not blaming Sam Curtis particularly. I think Sasnauskas will know that he was well off with the back pass. It left Davis ridiculously short. I saw a couple blaming Davis in the chat. I don't blame Davis whatsoever. I want to talk about Jack Robinson. I know this channel, and I don't want to fan the flames for no reason. I know this channel talks a lot about Jack Robinson, or not even so much. And I've consciously tried to pull back on talking about Jack Robinson, to be honest, because I don't want it to be. I don't ever want to sort of stoke the fires and get people riled up or anything. It's not what we're about. Some channels like to do that. I don't. This is just a platform where people should feel comfortable coming on, giving their honest opinions, and nothing is done purely for effect. But Jack Robinson tonight, I thought, were an absolute disgrace. An absolute disgrace in the way that he carried himself, in the way that he showed such a lack of leadership, something that jumped off the screen to not only me, and I appreciate it's a ramble chat, so some people may take what I say and agree. I certainly don't think I influence people to the point where I change their opinions on it, though. So it wasn't just me that was vocal about thinking that is Jack Robinson trying to get sent off here? He got a yellow card early doors for throwing someone to the ground in like the 4th or 5th minute, throwing someone to the ground, which is, whether you're frustrated or not, it's an automatic yellow card in 90% of the cases. And then he has gone right up into the face of the linesman and said, F off, F off, F off, shouting in his face, looking at him. Now, I know Gaz is one of our Platinum Ramblers. In fact, he's waiting to come on. So I'm going to talk to him about that, because as a referee, as we've said, one of the hardest jobs in the game. I think it's got to be recognised. And we never like to criticise referees. I think this referee will come in for some stick in terms of the Sheffield United goal. And I think that's probably right that he does, but Gaz may have a different opinion to that too. I didn't always agree with everything the ref were doing tonight, but whether you agree with the ref's performance or not, and it's a very difficult job, if you're getting up in their face, you're almost giving them no choice. And you could tell that the ref didn't want to send somebody off so early because it spoils the game. But it was very close. And Jack Robinson again then went down for a throw-in in the second half, down the left-hand side, and he's being sarcastic to ref. Yeah, all right then, ref. Yeah, all right then, ref. And then he kicked the ball into play or something like that when it should have been out of play. He is clearly disgruntled. He clearly wants away, in my opinion. Get him gone. I know we are so weak at the back, but surely, what do you measure a successful or a positive football club on? How do you want to build your football club with just because he is one of the best two centre backs at the club? Do you keep him as a terrible egg, for want of a better word? Because he's a bad egg, isn't he? But as a terrible personality to have in and around the club, a real toxic personality, in my opinion. And I think it's been the most obvious. We've seen it in some time tonight on screen. But we all hear rumours. We all hear what's going on backstage, in the changing rooms and things like that. I think he needs to be gone, and I would get rid of him this week, whether we get a centre back in or not. And before the game, I was saying we desperately need centre halves. We need a lot of positions. Just looking at tonight in terms of depth, but we need to get rid of this man from our club, in my opinion. And I don't ever go in so strongly on players. I am just so infuriated at what I've seen tonight, and I am tinged with a little bit of stuff that I've heard, and other people have heard the same thing. I'm not trying to be coy, but I don't want to sort of sling spurious allegations out there. But something needs to change here, and I think he is certainly not making us any better. So I thought Dovi Sasnaukas had a terrible first half. I thought he had a much better second half. I thought Samare was a shining light for us. I don't think it was a perfect performance. I think there were some over-it passes, and I think he dawdled in possession at times and the ball got nicked off him once or twice. So I think there's stuff to work on there, but I thought he looked head and shoulders above anything else that we had on the pitch at that time. Who else was on? I thought Louis Marsh had a poor game. I think he'll be disappointed within his performance. It's an opportunity for him, but let's be right, it's a strong Birmingham side that he's up against. Ukaki, I thought, started really well and sort of tailed off a little bit. I think that will be his role. I don't think he'll be expected to play 90 minutes. Whether we see him as a finisher, somebody who comes on with a little bit of pace and a little bit of energy about him later on in a game, I think that's probably where he's most effective. I think it'll be Brooks that starts and Ukaki that finishes in most circumstances. One I thought were really poor tonight. Really, really bad. Gus came on, obviously changed the game. Thought Tom Cannon was starved of service, but obviously, and it's difficult as a lone striker. Tyrese Campbell found that when he came on as well. It were very difficult for him, but I think Tyrese Campbell put himself about a little bit more and showed why he's the number one choice at Sheffield United. So there's loads to get into, and I'm delighted that everybody's going to join me and have a little bit of a chat about it. Let's see if these comments are starting to pull through. Yes, they are. So we can get into those. Let's bring up some comments before we bring our first callers in, because otherwise they'll run away with us and we'll get completely behind. Are you any more worried tonight after seeing that performance? Because the other thing I would say is, at Bristol City, and I said we weren't going to talk about this, but we have to. At Bristol City, I thought we were poor for the first 10 minutes. And then I thought, sorry, I'm just going to message through somebody. Okay. So I think we were poor for the first 10 minutes against Bristol City. And then I think the last 35 minutes of the first half, I thought we were the better team. And I thought we looked really, I thought we were a sucker punch that they scored, and I thought we were the better team. And that is, that was something I was holding on to. I thought we'd come out of the second half, despite being 2-1 down, and we would really go for it and show why we are so strong going forward. And we didn't. We got another sucker punch to make it 3-1, and then another sucker punch to make it 4, and heads dropped. And that is what we remember on the performance. So that is why it ended up 4-1, and nothing changed second half. That was so disappointing that we couldn't lift ourselves. A little bit directionless, a little bit unbalanced in terms of the team shape. Tonight, Heavily rotated side, understandably so, but we were dominated for much of the game. I know it's finished a much more healthy scoreline. We were dominated for much of the game. Now, I try and think that that's largely because of the heavily rotated side. But my word, were we second best tonight by some distance. So we said when we scored, when Gus came on, it was highway robbery when he scored that goal. So absolutely, absolutely. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to make of it tonight. I want to hear what you've got to say. Let's get in some comments first and foremost. Like I said, sorry, I keep going off on tangents, particularly when my emotions are quite high. And this is my club as well, and I'm a fan like everybody else here, and I just want to see us do well. And at the moment, it's infuriating seeing stuff like this happening to us. We weren't expected to win tonight, and if you'd have told me before the game we'd have gone into it with a heavily rotated side, 10 changes, and we'd have lost 2-1, then you think, okay, I think that's probably accepted or expected. Then not too bad. It could have easily been 4-5, couldn't it? If Kyogo had brought his shooting boots, and even Jay Stansfield later on, it would have been 4 or 5. And then we're looking real trouble. So, anyway, that's where we are. So Brett starts us off. Whatever happens this season, I got my black shirt and my white shirt. Easily the best shirts I've ever bought. Love the no sponsor option, up the blades. Thank you, Brett. Yeah, every cloud, mate. Every cloud. Cooler King says, Birmingham have already won. They've managed to fill 2 sides of the ground. Hang on, I think these are still comments from the game. Yes, they are. Apologies. Let's scroll down to these. So Nige starts us off saying, tried to defend Robbo before as an overachieving trier and giving his all. But after that, no. Get him gone. He's the captain. Sayers should strip him at no point. Strip him of it at no point trying to keep him on side. I agree. And I think I have likely been harsh in the past. And I will take that on the chin. Because once I get something in my head, you can see from my dad, if all you that are here now have watched the channel previously, you'll know how my dad is. Once he gets something in his head about a player, he cannot check it. And he knows that this is something, how he operates. He knows that that is a character flaw on his behalf. I have to sometimes, how many times did I try and pull him round on McBurney and stuff like that? I have not liked Jack Robinson for a long time, mostly on ability. Or a lack thereof that I do. And then when people try and defend him, it makes me want to push back with my reasons why. So that forges a certain subconscious with me. So I understand that. And I am conscious of that bias that I've got. So then I try to pull back sometimes on comments that I'm making. And I've made a conscious effort on the channel to do that. Maybe not very successfully. So there are people like Nige who have thought of him as an overachieving trier, and I can understand that sort of way of viewing him too. So I get that, and that's fair enough. Maybe I have not given him the credit enough for being that. Tonight, I didn't hold back, and I don't hold back, and I'm not apologetic for what I've said. I may look back and regret the way I've reacted because it's an emotional reaction, but it's an honest reaction, and I don't want him playing for my football club if he is. He's supposed to be a leader, and this is a really young side that he's involved in tonight. And lead by example then. Lead by example on the pitch, at least. If you don't do it behind the scenes, that's one thing. But do it on the pitch so that you show that you are fighting for the cause, or at least try and make fans believe that you are fighting for our cause. Don't try and get yourself sent off so you don't have to play at the weekend so you can pass a medical at Wrexham. Don't do that. That's unprofessional. It's ridiculous, and that's a big claim from myself, and that's purely an opinion, purely my personal opinion. Don't like it. Danny says, I can get Ruben Selles. I can see Ruben Selles getting the sack in the next 5 games if things don't change. Owners and fans won't stand for this anymore. Very, very early. And I understand that you understand that, Dan. But I think tonight may have been a little call out to say, look how weak we are in terms of depth as well. And I thought we did okay in terms of hanging into the game. Skin of his teeth at times, but we hung on in there, and it looked like we were going to take it to penalties at one stage, which would have been outrageous. Not an easy watch, that says Toronto Blade. No fight, can't string a couple of passes together. Shocking performances from a number of the guys. Not quite sure where we go from here. Owners have got to open up their wallets. Yeah, I agree, Toronto Blade. I absolutely can't disagree with any of it. Break it down. Reserve goalkeeper. under 21 right back, under 21 centre back, Robbo, McCallum, defensive midfielder on debut, 2 attacking midfielders, 1 who was an under 21, right wing debut and an under 21 One, under 21, misfiring Cannon. What did we expect? That is the context. And that's fair, Yard Dog, to say that as well. That is the context around what we did tonight. Rye says, absolute rubbish. I don't want to see Robbo in a Blade shirt ever again. Dreadful. Nige says, at least we won goal of the season already, lads. Yeah. We'll be able to say what a player he was for us. That's another thing we can talk about tonight if you think that's going to happen now. Pete Blade says, going to have to change it to rant and ramble, Jimmy. Yeah, it is. It is a bit tonight, isn't it? Understandably so, though, pal. I mean, we get badged with being quite a positive channel, and I don't mind that, to be honest. In fact, I quite like it. I quite like that we seem to be a positive channel that tries to look for the positives and the best in some situations, because I think that brings the fans closer together. But we're also not a channel that's ever going to hide away from what we think is the honest truth, and that is that this start is really concerning, really concerning. And Jack Robinson tonight, who a lot of me vitriol is aimed at, it's unforgivable in my eyes. It's unforgivable, and just my opinion again. George says, half a season of Cannon now. Sell and recoup what we can. He's done nothing to justify being a second striker. Our second choices are miles off it. McCallum, awful. Robinson's head's gone, and I can see why with that. I don't think Cannon got hardly any touches, and you can look at him for that, but you can also look at the service into him for that. And with that very little service that he got, he hit the post. So again, I'm going to try and put a positive turn on it as well, George. I think there's a player in Cannon. I do, and I think this higher tempo will suit him better. Joe says, good job, that's the only cup. Good job, that's only the cup, sorry. Absolutely awful performance. Sayers can't be blamed for players diving in and giving the ball away cheaply. Robbo is an embarrassment. Get him on his way. Joe says, the silver linings were Hamer's wonder strike, and that scoreline could and should have been a lot worse. Get the signings in so that we can start believing again. 3 out of 4 Yorkshire teams won tonight, says Ed. Congratulations to them. Sneaky Squeak says, miles off it this year. How much of a worse job could the new owners have made of taking a team that needed a few tweaks? Huge challenge for Sayers. John says, I'm positive for Saturday, I think. They played okay in the second half. Let's get behind the manager and the players. Up the Blades. George says, shocking, no plan. Yes, he needs players, but there's no excuses to play like a Sunday League side. Can't pass, can't play forward, and no tactics whatsoever. Lucky it was 2-1 and not 6-1. Mon chapeau, Hamer. Absolutely right, mon chapeau. Says Tom. If you're a Rambler, you'll understand that, or if you're part of our community, you'll understand that. Jake says, didn't expect to win. A lot of the young lads looked total bomb scare tonight. Didn't think McCallum and Peck did well either. 90 minutes of hoofball, as any pass was met with a bad touch. Bodies needed ASAP. I felt for Peck again tonight. Thought he came on to be the 8, and then ended up being the 6 again as soon as Hamer came on a little bit, not long after, to be honest. 20 shots to 4 says it all. Absolutely right, it does. Oh, well, Neil Warnock's always an option. No need for that, Finn. No need for that. Hamer is definitely putting himself in the shop window now. Wow, what a strike, says Pete. Up the Blades. Matt says, just shows how far off we are. The youngsters are not ready. And we need bodies in. We need leaders. Yes, we do. Agree with that as well. Tell me, why would Hamer want to stay? Because I think there's a nucleus of a side here, isn't there? It's just we've got so many obvious gaps. We haven't lost loads from. I know the loans have gone back, but you can't tell me a lot of the loans that were starters in that side. There might be now in this side, but you can't tell me a lot of the loans that will be starters in that side, other than Rob Holding, which were perplexing to me as well as it was anyone else. We've lost Anel Ahmedhodzic, our best centre half. We've lost Vinny Souza, one of the best players in the side certainly in terms of a ball winner as well. So we've lost 2 key players in that respect. So. And there was no Louis Barry tonight. No, I know Gus came on a little bit later, but there were players that were rested. We have to put it in context. It's one league game that's got away from us, and the cup game, which when we put the side out that we did, we had to expect. So, Jack says, another hard watch. United never let us down. 19 days to go. See what this so-called waiting for the quality player strategy is. Paul says, sorry, but I think this might be a disaster of a season early doors, but it's not looking good so far. Defenders are needed now, says Tom. Sayers is getting hung out to dry. I agree with that. HJ says owners need to get the checkbook out. Bill says so poor in possession. Moment of quality from Gus. That's what we can do. But we always looked like conceding. It was inevitable. Could have been 6 or 7. That worrying. Getting more and more worried, says CPTD. Gone backwards massively. Chris says that was shocking, absolutely embarrassing. Jake says class result this, proper statement of intent for autos. Kind of sarcastic there, I believe. Blade Running says Hamer added another wonder goal to his resume and another 5 million to the American accountants. Sorry, I mean owners. Rick says unlucky Jimmy, things will improve, up the Ramble, up the Blades, marching on together. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that support. Look at my dog, says Hamer scores a screamer and all anyone can say is he's putting himself in the shop window, can't do right for doing wrong. No, I agree with what they're saying in terms of, not like he's doing it intentionally. He's scoring a goal and trying to improve our chances of winning the match. But by proxy, that's putting himself in the shop window. I think he attracts more attention now because he's scoring goals like that. So, yes, that's what I'm thinking, to be fair. That's my thoughts on it. How have we come to this, says Chris. Will says, feels a bit like the Illy Hearts to the fans. Gus bangs one in from halfway and pats the badge. Oh, I don't. Josh says, I'm not saying he played well, but after the big mistake early on, Sasnauskas showed some character to pick himself up and play okay for the rest of the game. Completely agree with that. Gage says, can I say it's a bad team? I can say it's a bad team, all we want, but why is the only option every time the long ball? I'll tell you why, because the tactics are rubbish. We don't swear, mate. We don't swear. It's a family channel. But yes, tactics are rubbish. Matt says, and sorry, but Robinson is a disgrace. And so obviously wanted to get sent off. So I really hope that it's the last time we see him in a Sheffield United top. Peck was off the pace as well. Loose passes. Easily pushed off the ball, says Danny. I'm already praying to the gods, says Chris. Ray says, well, hopefully we've seen the last of Robbo in the Blade shirt. Yard Dog says, I don't mind just playing the kids, but the seniors are not there to lead them. That's true. Finn says Hamer was the best player to ever once play for Cov, and now I have to say the Blades, he will be say to Blades, he will be gone. John Asquith of My Business Group, nicely advertised at the same time as his comment pops up. My Business Coach, absolutely brilliant. If you're a growing business and want support to continue that growth, he's the man to speak to. D. Redful, he says, we look like we have no identity, confidence, or idea about what we're supposed to be doing, other than a wonder goal from Hamer, last hurrah maybe. Can't think of any positive. I can't. Robinson should be fine by the club and not seen in the shirt again, says Bry. Okay. Should we get to our first caller? Because this is a calling show after all. 90 after 90. And let's welcome in, first and foremost, our man in black. It's Gaz Dunn. How's it going, Pat? Oh, you're very close there, mate. You're very close. Hang on. Let's get you unmuted first, because I muted you for being backstage. Can we hear you now?
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah,
yes, mate, we can. I certainly can. I don't know if the comments can. They'll soon let me know, because we had a few problems with Jord early doors. How are you feeling, pal?
Yeah, not good after that one here. Mate. Not ideal at all.
Mate, it was shocking. Absolutely shocking. I mean, what can we expect, I suppose, from a side that's heavily depleted and 10 changes? We know we haven't got strength in depth at this moment in time, but it could have been so much worse, couldn't it? It could have been so much worse.
It could have been 5-0 at half time. Let's be honest. It's just we had nothing. Forget the defence. We couldn't get at.
I know.
And that's not always the defence's fault, to be honest with you. We know we're shocking at the back, but we didn't build anything. Even when we did finally get possession of the ball at times, we didn't do anything with it. And one touch in the opposition's box. It's really poor. I think I saw a Leeds fan put in there saying, this time last year, you were pinning us in for the first half.
I know. And that's...
Couldn't pin a bloody...
Oh, no. Tell me about it. Oh, hey, what's happened here? I don't know. I've posted Brett on the thing. I was trying to do it in the background. Sorry, Brett. That's spoiling what people have got to look forward to, isn't it? So I was listening to you, guys, and we'll get you back in, pal. But yeah, it's one of them. It's one of them. That just shows, that sums up our night, doesn't it, as a whole? But I have a couple of things I wanted to talk to you specifically about, Gaz. So you were in our comment section. For those that don't know, and I know you don't mind us talking about it, you have got a background as being a professional referee. There was a couple of a couple of things that we looked to clarify in terms of firstly, let's talk about the big one, which was Gus's goal. Gus's goal. It clearly hits the referee in the transition of play. It does drop to Jay Stansfield momentarily and ricochets off him, or he isn't able to control it fully, I would say. And then Gus nabs it off him, takes a couple of yards, and then shoots from halfway line. What were your thoughts on that, pal?
So, Letter Law says it hasn't changed possession because he's literally kept possession after it hit the referee.
Okay.
In my opinion, I would probably stop it and give a drop ball. But the problem is there's been a bit of a law change on it about is it going to be obviously changing possession and things like that. Not so much if it hits the referee, just drop ball and who the drop ball goes to. There's been a change of law on that this season.
Okay.
And maybe that's in his head. I'm not sure, but I'm not complaining.
No, it went in our favour tonight, and obviously you're watching it as a Blade, so you're happy with the decision, aren't you? And I understand that. We are, for those that aren't aware, me and Gaz are hoping to get together over on Ramble FC and talk about some of these law changes and rule changes in the game and how it can affect teams going forward and stuff. Because I think we've previously done it on a watch along, haven't we, Gaz, in the closed season when we were watching some of the tournaments overseas, and it were really interesting. We got some really positive feedback from your input, so thank you for that, mate. The second question I wanted to put to you was, would you have sent Robinson off?
100%.
At what point does he cross the line of second yellow or straight red for you?
I can see why. Sometimes we just turn a blind ear to it. We do, but that was so obvious, absolutely so obvious in his face. F off, F off, F off. That's fouling. He could have straight redded him for that. I can see why he hasn't, by the way, because
5 minutes in.
Yeah, it doesn't spoil it. I think the referee's done very well at the throwing towards the end. I think he's done very well to manage him there. He did really well there. I think that was really good player management. Just telling him to calm down. But I hope I never see him in Blaze shirt again, personally. I'm usually
quite level-headed, aren't you, with stuff like that? So you would have sent him off 100%. I love that, because I thought you might say that, because I thought that would be a usual referee's reaction, because it's clearly foul and abusive language. But do you think it were a deliberate attempt from him to get, as a fan, I suppose, do you think it were a deliberate attempt from him to get sent off?
Yeah, he did one of them normal robo challenges, didn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Where he's trying to get the player just as much as he's getting the ball. Yeah, I don't get why he's acted like that. I'm quite a Robbo. I quite like Robbo as a player. I think he's got a mistake in him and everything like that. But at the moment, he's the best he's got. And for me to say that then on the back of that I don't want to see him in a Blade shirt again, there's something different tonight. Something totally different.
Yeah.
I don't think I've never personally, unless somebody says otherwise, seen him like that on a field of play.
He's head gone on it.
Yeah, but not to that extent. It's a yellow card for chucking him up floor. 100% there.
Of course it is.
He's lost his head then. He's lost his head in the cut with that throw-in. Referee only told him to move 2 meters up road. Up line.
I know.
I think it... Yeah, never want to see him in a Blaze shirt again.
Do you think we will?
Yeah, probably. Who's he going to put in now?
That's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem we've got now, because of how light we are. But
yeah,
if Selles is of the same opinion as us, then he cannot play him again. He can't.
No, I'm hoping he doesn't. But who's he going to play? Norton Davis there?
Well, that's the thing, innit? It's the output in terms of what the standard of play you can put on the field rather than the attitude.
But then again, I think Norton Davis is probably shouting for left back at the moment, where McCallum did tonight.
McCallum were awful, absolutely awful.
To be fair to play to him, he didn't have any help though.
No,
I don't think. Only didn't really help him, and then.
Only. Did anybody impress you tonight, mate? Did anybody impress you?
Samari, I thought was good.
Yeah.
I think if we can get some possession of the ball and he sits in that 6, I think he's. You saw him drop the shoulder a couple of times on a few of their players. Yeah, I think he did well tonight for what he did. There's mistakes in there, I think, with him. Otherwise, he'd be in the Premier League. But
yeah, I saw there were a couple, weren't there? There were a couple of loose passes, and there was, I think, he dawdled in possession at times as well, and maybe would have got caught if he hadn't have quickly released the ball then. But I think there's definitely a player in there, and he looked better than a lot of what we had for the first 60 minutes, really, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree there. And other than that, freaking Cannon. I did feel for him in the first half. I think he had 6 touches, but we did. You can't really judge him on that performance. It's just.
I don't think so.
I think if Campbell played tonight, he wouldn't have got much more. I think the good thing about Campbell is he's an outball because of his pace, where Cannon's not that player. Yeah, I don't think he's that player at all. I think he could hold the ball up for us maybe, but tonight, that's one of the worst performances I think I've seen in a very long. And I said that on Saturday as well.
Yeah, from a Sheffield United side.
Yeah, I think that's one of the worst performances we've had in a long time. And to be honest with you, I've seen it a bit in the chat, and people were saying like, "There's no style of play." It's like, what are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to do?
It's just get the ball forward quickly into.
Yeah,
and I get that mentality, but there needs to be a pattern to it. There needs to be a way of doing it because Billy said it in chat, and a few others have as well. It's just turning into oofball because we're desperate to get the ball away from the goal, and that's not what Sayers will be saying. Surely that won't be the plan. So that's just panic in the players and not sort of believing in the system that they've been told to play. So there's all sorts to sort out, mate. And look, I've got a lot to get through tonight, but I want to say thank you for starting us off, mate. Very much appreciated as always. Top man, and we'll get together as soon as. When is it? You're off soon though, aren't you? Going to Vegas?
Yeah, go to Vegas on Friday. Can't wait. 8 days.
Enjoy. Forget about United for a little while. All right, buddy.
No chance. I'll try and catch the game.
Top man. See you soon, Gaz. Thank you, pal.
Take care, Jimmy.
You too, mate. Nice one. Cheers, Gaz. Thank you for joining us. Spot on from Gaza, as always. I'm going to jump into some more comments before we get, believe it or not, Brett on next. I know Ollie saw that. I think it's because I've got the same camera link for them all, because it were a copy and paste job as I quickly tried to put it together. So I'll have to do that on the sly when you don't notice that I'm setting Brett's camera up in background. So we'll see if you can pick out when I'm doing that. CPTD says, it might not be the first team, but they're still pros and honestly think I could do better at 35 plus. I'm 35 plus too. I'm not sure I could do better, but I'm still here. Yeah, Dog says, Robbo, captain, ridiculous behaviour. Talk about leading by example. Yeah, absolutely right. Robbo, not bothered trying to get sent off, says Chris. Trusty Rufus says, it was a weak side and was expected to a degree, but the subs baffled me. They didn't baffle me. I thought we were trying to stay in the game. Disgusted with Robinson tonight, says Janet. Yeah, me too. Cooler King says, I've never seen such an unprofessional performance as I saw from Robbo tonight. No leadership, petulant, uninterested, and I hear he's an unpleasant bloke too, so why did Wilder love him? I can't answer the last bit, but what I always say on this channel, and it's not just Cooler King, but he is a really good measuring stick for me. As a neutral fan, he's a Birmingham... he's a Villa fan who was in our Birmingham watch-along chat giving them some stick. As a neutral fan, he always comes in and gives me some perspective on the wider way of looking at things. So when I'm saying I know I'm biased against Robinson and stuff like this, I think Cooler King's a good measuring stick for me and others that are neutrals. Leeds fans come in here and say similar things, and a lot of people are saying about Robinson tonight. So it gives me sort of belief that it's not just me. Brand says, and it hasn't done him any harm. They've ambitious owners. Sorry, I don't know what your original comment was, Bran. I don't know if we've got that, pal. Oh, hang on. Here we are. We're going to be nowhere near top 6 this season unless serious money is spent on that back line. I'm talking 8 to 10 million for players like Hughes at Hull. Birmingham's owners have spent big. See if I can find your comment again now. And it hasn't done them any harm. They have ambitious owners. They have owners that don't give two hoots about us. Birmingham will absolutely be going for top 6 this season. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Janet repeats what she said earlier in terms of discussing with Robinson, but also adds, get rid ASAP. One shot on target all game is awful, says Chris. So much for these new tactics, eh? Just looking at stats, one touch in the opposition box, says Chris. He's pouring it. Luke, don't agree with some of the comments on here. Think some people need to get a grip. Daniel says, Jackie Longthrow clearly doesn't want to be here anymore. Let him go. He was a liability last season and we can't afford that this season. Tabs says, dreading Saturday. If we got in more defenders, if we ain't got more defenders in, 100, some of these players just ain't good enough. After tonight, I never want to see Robinson play for us. He's been rubbish for time anyway. Okay. Can we watch with the language? I know it's highly emotional time. However, We are a family channel. We like people to sit down and be able to watch this with the kids and not think, oh, well, I can't. We'll just have to screen what they're saying on Ramble because we want people to feel comfortable coming here at any time. And some people don't like it anyway. That's the only reason, to be fair. I'm not approved particularly myself, but we want to be appealing to all audiences. So Cliffy says the game just showed the lack of depth we have the game showed the lack of depth we have. I thought Marsh and Sasnaukas had a poor game, but only young. So how Robbo didn't get a red is mind-blowing. Need a centre-back for Saturday. Still hopeful. Up the Blades, up all the Rambles. Thank you, Cliffy. Nath says, I am not worried, Jimmy. Once we get our defenders in, we'll be fine. Robinson should never play for us again. He's disgusting. He's supposed to be our captain. Do we have any news on defenders coming in? Nothing that I haven't already spoken about, Nath. The one thing that does concern me is that there's a lot of rumours currently about Wu and the other teams monitoring him. Now, I went on and did a transfer update, I think it was yesterday, and said how we were close to Wu, and that was my strong belief due to what I've been told by other people. And I do believe that. I trust what I'm being told, and I tell people things in good faith. But it does now look like other clubs are on high alert, and if the clubs that are mentioned, like Werder Bremen and I think AC Milan at one stage were mentioned and stuff like that, we're not going to be in a realistic shout, are we? So again, if we miss out on this player when we've been so close to having it done, it will be an absolute... it's just a nightmare scenario, isn't it? It screams of moving too slow and sort of dawdling and not striking while the iron's hot on some of these players. We need them in now. I know we would rather get better value later in the window, and I was a big advocate of that. But look what's happening to our club in the meantime. Sometimes you have to make that jump. I was also an advocate of signing players like Jimmy Dunn early doors, and I know some people have pushed back on that. And I know it's easy to say that again in hindsight, and sort of say, look, I was right. But they are proven championship commodities. I know he's not gone and got a big move away from QPR. I know top end at Division A, but you can't tell me that Jimmy Dunn in this side tonight makes us more solid, because he does. And he did against Bristol City. Even if we'd have tucked him in to be a centre-half alongside Tyler Binden, we'd have been a much better side and a much more solid side just with that one signing. So can you imagine if we'd have brought 2 or 3 in at that stage, a Harry Darling to complement it? And these deals were there to be done, and that's what's so frustrating. I try, oh Lord, do I try to get on board with these alternative strategies, and just because I don't understand it or know it or there's no proof that it can work doesn't mean it can't work. Well, it also, by the same token, it doesn't mean you won't panic or start to be really concerned when your team starts to really slip and dip in terms of performances. Not only that, get plucked off player by player, and then the existing players that are already there, you see their heads drop, which means their performances become subpar. And it's a real concern for me at the minute. I'm hoping that my mate Brett can help me out here. Brett, what we got to say, pal?
Well, I've been trying hard for positivity. I'm struggling.
I know, mate. I know. We need to try and be more positive, don't we? But you are known as Brett the Positive Blade. Help me out,
The only
pal.
good thing I can still say is Samari played well. He looks a player when he starts.
Samari played well.
Right.
Yeah, I know. He did. To be fair, he did look good. Are you with half an eye on Swansea, like the manager clearly had tonight? And we will talk about the game, mate. But would you put Samari straight in at the weekend now?
I would, in the fact that I think he's the main person we've got who can play that 6. Because Peck's struggling a bit. As much as I love Peck, and he puts his foot in and he always tries to get a tackle in. There's that Samari looked a different class when he were on board. He made odd mistakes and stuff, but it's his first game. Do you know what I mean? You have to settle in. And what we got to lose, really, is protecting the defence. That's the only thing with Ruben's system now. Like, if Wilder had been there, for the team we'd got, he'd pick the style for what we've got.
Yeah.
Whereas Ruben seems to be like implementing that style. The fact that we've got no defenders is not bringing extra cover from midfield. Do you know what I mean? The good thing about Wilder was he was always defensively. He got your defence sorted first and then attack. That's why people moaned about winning 1-0 all the time, because we were shored up the back. And Ruben seems to be like, it doesn't matter who we've got, we're playing attacking football.
I know.
Up on their half. But then when you watch Birmingham match, Birmingham were outplaying us. They were pressing us high. We didn't really press them as much. We seemed to press space, whereas they pressed players. It would, I don't know. I could see positives. Like I said, second half we played well. Well, better. Do you know what I mean? You could see a rhythm at least starting. And to be fair, when you say when Campbell come on, we looked a lot more threatening because he had that pace. And some would say we were playing long balls, which we were. But when you're playing it where you've got pace up front, do you know what I mean? Defenders don't like it because if he spins, it's gone.
Yeah, it can work.
A couple of times.
It can work. I just don't believe that that's the Sayers way of playing. I think you'll want more control in the way we were transitioning into the attack. But either way, mate.
I mean, a lot of them looked not comfortable on ball. So when they got ball back, retained it, it was, what do you call it, back to basics, oof it up out at danger area and then hope that somebody can go at the end of it rather than playing your transitions and your triangles and work it upfield. But the young players, aren't they? So it's going to take time for that 11. Obviously, it's going to be a different 11 against Swansea.
So I'm going to ask you two specific questions, mate, and I'll probably talk to everybody about Jack Robinson tonight. So that'll be my first one. But my second one, I'm going to ask you for a positive spin on it because you are the positive blade. So the first one, you can be. I don't expect any positivity if you don't want. I want just a blatant, honest opinion. What did you think of Jack Robinson's behaviour tonight? Did you think it were a deliberate attempt, or do you just think he's frustrated at everything that's going on? What are your thoughts on Jackie Longthrow tonight?
There's frustration, and then there's the fact that you're going back. Like we all do something. Like if anybody at work and stuff, they have that odd time where they kick off and stuff. But you realise straight away, he carried on swearing at that linesman for a good minute. Followed him down, and he was saying like, you can't do that unless you mean to it, unless you realise in your head, and then you carry on. I won't let him play again.
Do you think it were intentional to get sent off?
I don't know if it were intentional. It could be.
I love that you always look for the good in stuff, Brett. I think it's a really positive. No, genuinely, I know. We joke about it, but I love that you tend, because I'm convinced he was. I might not be right. Nobody's in his head, and we don't know. The fact that you can benefit it down and say, no, I'm not sure. To be honest, I don't know whether he won or he won. I love it, and that's what this is all about.
With Robbo, the thing that winds me up with Robinson is he's in there because he's captain. That's it. I don't think his skill level's that far above everybody else's. He's meant to be captain. And then when you've been used to captains like Chris Morgan, who weren't the best skillful but he were a proper captain. He led people. Like if Morgan had been playing in that match against Birmingham, he'd have had people back shirts, dragging them, telling them, look, you stand there, you do this. You didn't see that from Robbo. Robbo, he played his own game, kept to himself. You didn't see it. Odd time he had a shout at somebody, but it weren't like it weren't encouraging like you need to do this and you need to do this like Morgan would have done. So that's what annoys me about him. I think we were just spoiled for a captain before. He's the worst of a bad bunch, to be fair, for a good bunch. So I won't let him play. I'd rather have Sassy playing.
Sassy. I don't know if I can get on board with that nickname, to be fair, for old Dobby.
I just can't remember to pronounce best.
Mate, the second question, I want a positive spin from you on this. I want you to... The first thing I thought when Gus Hamer scored that goal, other than he's lucky because referees knocked it to him, was, oh no. It was great we've scored, but it was also... first thing me and George were saying, well, see you, Gus, then. I want you to convince me that he's not going. Despite what's going off in the Platinum chat where... James from Matilda Shakes. James from Matilda Shakes, you're sharing too much. Much.
That's why I didn't want to say it on stream. So
don't say it on stream. Don't say it. They'll have to join Platinum chat to find out. Disgraceful from the lead singer.
It were a wonder goal, to be fair. It lightened up a bad game. Well,
it was.
I think, like I say, it's a game. It's a team that's growing. So
no, but the positive I want from you is that he's going to stay.
I can't say that.
Oh,
positive. The thing is, I do know, like Gus obviously loves club. He's like every time you see him, he's smiling, and even when you said like on Saturday when you said that his head dropped a bit, I didn't see it drop. I think we're too used to relying on him to drag us out of situations. So when everybody else plays bad, we really notice when Gus is playing bad. Do you know what I mean? Because his levels are so high. And to be honest, the thing I always say about Gus is he tries too hard sometimes. That's when he picks up his bookings and his stupid fouls when he's trying to track back. And you think, if like I always preferred, I know it's an unpopular thing, but I'd swap him and Callum Aware, because Callum runs and he pressures people. Do you know what I mean? That's one of his best parts of his game is he never stops running. So I'd rather have him in an 8 and Gus Armour further upfield. So when he does put them stupid tackles in, do you know what I mean? It's further away from our area, and plus, he's closer. But then saying that, if he were playing 10, he wouldn't have scored that wonder goal because that went at halfway line. So
I know.
You just can't win, and it's like I say, it is that Lampard Gerrard thing where I want them both to play, but I just think they're too similar, as in like the positions they're good at. They've got different strengths, but they're both 10s, I think, in my head.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that's been the conundrum, hasn't it, since they've both been together at the club. And I think Callum Aware is best in the 10 for him in terms of the positions he plays. I think he's best in the 10 and not as good in other positions. I think Gus is also his best position. I think is the 10, but I think he's also better in other positions.
Yeah,
I don't think he's better in. Do you know what I mean? In terms of he can do a better job than Callum Aware would on the left, for example, or on the right. Yeah. So I think that's why he gets sacrificed as probably the slightly better player. I think that's probably.
I think it'll be different as well if that Samari starts playing well and they start having him as the holding player in that midfield, then obviously you can afford to have Gus there because he'll not have to drop back as much. So it's a lot to expect from a new player and a youngster at that, but he does look like there's a player in there.
Yeah, agree.
The only other thing that annoys me is about One, because I just don't think he's a winger. I think he's a centre forward. He's a player, and he's built like an house. Do you know what I mean? But I just don't see him whipping down wing.
He's looked really good in pre-season, and since the season's kicked off, he's looked an absolute shadow of himself. So I think Dave the Nose said it on Three Mighty Blades straight after the Bristol City game. He thinks he needs a loan. I'm with Dave now, and I was at the time, but Dave was strong on it, saying don't think he's ready. Think he needs a loan, and we need somebody else underneath him. But again, it's that lack of depth. So it's a struggle, mate. I appreciate.
You can only pray for some signings coming in. Hopefully,
fingers crossed, mate.
Spending money that's been. I like the thing that I know as well in the chat that we were on about other day is how much weekly wages have they saved with all these sales?
Absolutely,
we've got nobody in that's going to take any of that up. Like all AI signings must be on pittances, but compared to me, big wages, but
but you're right. They won't be on a lot, will they? It won't be expensive outlays. So
I bet you, if we got rid of Robbo, you could cover all AI signings for a week easily.
100%, you could, no doubt about it. So, Brett, thank you for joining us, mate. Bringing a little bit of positivity.
No, sorry, I couldn't be as positive.
No, I love it. You've been more positive than most can after them two performances.
What's that? Brilliant shirt, by the way.
Mate, I've got that coming. I'm hoping that lands tomorrow. I've got that
coming this morning when I come in from work.
Nice, mate.
Great, nice.
Well, thank you for representing, and I'll catch up with you soon.
I know it is, mate. Have a good one.
Cheers, pal. You too. Nice one, Brett. Brett, the positive blade, one of our Platinum Ramblers. Thank you for jumping on, Brett. Always good to chat to you, mate. Jake says, if Saturday wasn't, this has to be a huge wake-up call now to the owners. We need signings now. Robbo needs to go. Sasnaukas should never wear the red and white again, and really felt for Cannon no service. I think that's harsh on Dobby Sass, or Sassy, as Brett likes to call him. LM says, Samari and Curtis were positive. Fair shout as well. I thought Sam Curtis, after a little bit of a rocky start, played okay. I don't think he pulled up any trees or had a worldie or anything like that. I thought he played okay for a young lad. Big pressure on his shoulders coming into a game like this. As it was for a few of them, I thought he played well tonight. Before we sign anyone else, we need 2 centre backs and then 2 wingers because Cannon and One cannot play there. Big T says, right, so Jack Robinson doesn't want to be here. We can all see that, and he's still captain. I can't get my nut round that one, but we need bodies in ASAP. Yes, we do, pal. Max says, what an absolute shambles we're in. About 4 or 5 players nowhere near the first team standard, got absolutely dominated by them. 1 touch in the opposition box all game. Yeah, absolutely right, pal. Tim says, it's hard to believe how it's got so bad so quickly. I know it wasn't. It was a second 11, but we weren't organised. Bryce says Sasnaukis had a better second half. I agree. Bell Differs says, you gutted about Chris Wilder leaving, Jimbo. I didn't think he did a bad job, to be fair, but all top teams don't look that great this season. From a Clarets fan, up the Clarets. Yes, I was gutted to see Chris Wilder go. Anybody that's watched the channel, and I'm not saying you have or haven't, mate, but anybody that's watched the channel for a little while will know how much of a Chris Wilder fan I am, and always have been. I can, we accept the decision because that's the club's decision, as he has to do as well. But it's how's it looking now? How's it looking? And I don't blame Ruben Selles, by the way, and I will support Ruben Selles. But wow. Sam McNeil says Sayers got one hell of a job on his hands. Liam says Robbo was absolutely disgusting with his behaviour and Sumari looked decent. We changed the game when Gus came on. Yeah, I think that's some punchy points, but absolutely spot on. Dover Blade says, I just think it won't get better unless we're bringing at least 7 decent players. We need to do much better. 3rd and 90 points is the minimum. Anything else is a failure, plain and simple. I don't think it'll need that much this season coming. I don't think it will. I think, obviously, it took 92... Well, it had taken 100 points last season, 101 points for us last season. And, I just tried to make some changes. And that didn't work live, did it? But I think we can't be expected to get anywhere near the total of last season. I think it was an incredible job by Chris Wilder. Crimbo Fish Sticks says, I have to be careful how I say that, says, I'm not too annoyed about that. I know we lost, but Hamer's goal was spectacular. And against Beadle, we never deserved anything from that game anyway. Let's be honest, Birmingham deserved 4 or 5 goals. It wouldn't have shocked anybody if Birmingham would have stuffed us in a similar scoreline to that of which Bristol City did. And it didn't happen tonight, and I think we can find ourselves a little bit fortunate that didn't happen. But it could have easily been a scoreline of that ilk, couldn't it? So it wouldn't have surprised me, to be honest, if that had happened. Faxon is class, says Mim. I love Luke Faxon. Would love to see more of him. And I don't think Adam Davis did an awful lot wrong tonight. I have to say that, though, as well. Okaki has pace, and I think he was alright in the first half, then disappeared second half. He burns himself out, says Nicola. I don't think he's that fast. I know Damari Gray is quick, but Damari Gray made up some significant ground on him. I think he's got a lot of energy, and I think he will bring that to the side. Dan says, I bring Alfie Gilchrist in. The rumour of £1.5 million asking price is right. We need some defensive-minded players at the back if we're going to play this way. Personally, I think Sayers is gone by Christmas. It's hard to be positive about that, says Chris Edley. Chris Revel says, yeah, I can't lean on that heavy rotated rubbish. Yeah, Martin says, sorry, pal, broken record. You need some players, but you know that. Hopefully you get them. Try and stay positive. Alfie Gilchrist would be a great signing, says Mac. We were rubbish again. Watch with the language, Eamon. Thank you. Good goal from Gusto. Goal of the season. Absolutely right. Max says, don't think we played that badly considering the circumstances. We played second string and looked decent. Kyogo, 10 mil. Like the look of Marsh and Curtis. Have we had a bid for the lad from... Have heard we bid for the lad from Barnsley. Which lad from Barnsley have you heard, Max? I love Louis Marsh. And I've spoken to Louis Marsh a couple of times. I've been very fortunate to do that. I think he'll admit to not having his best game tonight. I think he's looked very good in some of the other cameos he's made. But I think if we're having an honest assessment of it, I don't think he's been at his best tonight. We were lucky it was not 4 or 5 before half time, says Jamie. Josh says, I don't mind Robbo. We don't have anyone else in the centre-back. At centre-back, the board have not bought a new centre-back. If we get rid of Robbo, we're going to finish. We are going to finish. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. You don't mind him, Josh? That's your opinion, pal. You don't have. Nobody has to agree with my perspective. But I think more and more of the opinion now that we will be better off as a club. Certainly not in the short term, maybe. But we'll be better off as a club if Jack Robinson moved on. Jake says, how long will COH take to actually get up and do something? I'd say 3 centre-backs, 4 if Reece goes, a right wing and a right back minimum, looking very promising. DT says, you think you were harsh against Robbo, Jimmy? I was screaming for him to come off at Bristol and he wasn't even on the pitch. I see what you mean. Nearly 600 people in here now and not one of them is defending Robbo. The bloke's done. 720 I've got at the minute, but yeah, however many's in, and people are entitled to defend him as well, by the way. in my opinion, you can't defend what he did tonight. Let's find out how another one of our Platinum Ramblers feels about it. It's Dave Morwood. How's it going, pal? Oh, no, can't hear you. Can't hear you. Why can't we hear you? I tell you why. Because I've muted you. How you doing, pal?
I'm all right, mate. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. It was my fault. How are you?
I'm good. I thought we were wonderful tonight. Mind you, I was looking at it with my bad eye. So
Yeah, I'm going to say. How is your eye? I can see it's still taped up a bit.
I've got like a glass patch on it.
All right, okay. No worries.
To protect it, but it's all blurry, mate.
Okay.
Probably
thought best tonight, isn't it? To be honest,
it probably is. Yeah, probably is. But I don't think we were second best. I think we were about fifth best, really.
Out of 2.
Yeah, out of 2. Yeah.
Mate,
but,
I love that you always come on and cheer me up about it, because if you don't laugh, you'd cry, wouldn't you, with that sort of performance?
Exactly. And I heard you mentioning a singer making some rude comments or something in your chat. Tell him from me, if you don't stop it, the shirt's coming off.
Yeah, look at that. He's representing as well. Oversharer in our Platinum chat. The Matilda Shakes boy.
Yeah. And he's giving it large.
Well, he's not. No, he's not giving it large. He's just oversharing with some information that he's been trusted with.
Well, I haven't looked at it yet, mate. But it wasn't very good, was it?
No, mate, it wasn't.
To say the least,
It wasn't. Look, it was a heavily rotated side, Dave. We know that. Yeah. And we probably expected to come out second best, but I think the performance was really poor in terms of the scoreline. Significantly flattered us, I thought, tonight. Whereas I thought the Bristol City one maybe was a little bit harsh. I think this one definitely flattered us. I thought when we went to 1-1, it were a little bit embarrassing, to be honest, at times. But I mean, there's a couple of things to touch on. Does that? We'll talk about Robbo in a minute. But are you concerned now with not only the positions we knew we needed to fill in the 11, but the depth behind it? It looks so weak, doesn't it, at the minute?
It looks first division weak, maybe even second division week.
I don't think it's that bad, but first division week is a big statement.
Yeah, it does. But having said that, I thought Sassy, as we now calling him, looked terrible in the first half.
That'll stick, won't it?
Yeah. But he seemed to grow in confidence a bit in the second half. He made some really good challenges, some blocks.
I agree. I agree. So it was a bit of a. It was positive that he reflected well on his character, at least, didn't it? That he could come back out and, as a young lad, take that pressure that he's obviously, he knows he's at fault for the first goal, and he doesn't let it. He doesn't go into himself, and he comes out and he plays okay in the second half. I thought that were okay.
Same with Curtis, young Curtis.
Yes,
had
agreed.
A very sticky first half, but second half he looked a lot better.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Come on, then. Samari looked good.
Yes, Samari looks good. Would you play him at the weekend, Dave?
I would, yeah. And I think, what I liked about him was he sort of glided across the pitch, looks as though he was really slow, but he's got the upper body strength to hold people off when they tried to.
Yes, agreed.
Get into him, which is what Paul was saying. We need athletes,
Yeah, we do.
How old is he? 21?
Yeah, he's a young lad, 21-ish, I think. I couldn't tell you definitely off the top of my head, but he's a young lad.
Yeah, so I mean, he's only going to bulk up a little bit, isn't he?
I think he pairs with Hamer now in the middle for me, in terms of the setup. I think that's the way we'll go.
He's not a defender.
No, I feel harsh on City, but that's the way we've got to go. Would you? Here's the question for you.
Yeah.
Would you play Robbo at the weekend? And what do you think to his overall performance and attitude tonight?
Honest
Honestly,
opinion.
But remember, it's a family channel.
Yeah, no, I'm not. No, I won't use any bad language. I thought he was playing to get sent off from that throwing. From the first booking he got, he seemed to lose it completely.
I thought so.
I'm being honest with you. If I'm that linesman that he was swearing at, I'd have stuck my flag right up his left nostril.
Honestly, I thought it was blatantly obvious what he was trying to do.
It seems to me as though he was trying to get sent off, so he'd be banned, So he couldn't play until he gets his move.
That's exactly what I thought.
You
Exactly
know?
what I thought.
I wouldn't even want to see him in a Wednesday shirt. He mind a United shirt.
I won't mind that, to be fair. I won't mind
Well,
that.
yeah, that'd be a good move for him, really. But he wants his money, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, without going into the whole too much into the character stuff that we've heard about him and a lot of us know about him, I just thought tonight was so unprofessional from a captain of the club, not just as an experienced pro who's in a side with a load of youngsters. He's the captain of the club, and
there was nothing towards the younger players. Your captain should be guiding them and telling them where, do this, do that. He did nothing.
No, I know, and I may face some backlash from this, Dave, because I'm going in hard on him tonight, but I can't hold back how I feel, and I know that a lot of people feel the same way, but
they can have a go at me as well, because he should never play for United again. I've never liked him ever since I heard that little thing about him walking past the United fans and somebody saying to him, "Oh, Jack, yeah," and he just totally blanked them and walked on.
Yeah, as when he was captain of the club.
When he was captain of the club, you just think. Yeah.
And you compare that to somebody like Ollie Arblaster, who comes to all games and walks straight through where all fans are waiting and takes time for pictures, and a lot of the players do that as well. And they are role models, especially to these young kids, and they look up to them as superstars, and they are well paid, and I know they don't sign up to be role models, but that is part of the job description, and they are well compensated for that part of any part of their role. They play football like a lot of us would love to do for a living.
Yeah, and I mean, I've even seen like pictures on Facebook of some of our players who've been out shopping, and they've had photos done with people.
Anel did it a lot. Dave the Nose spoke really highly of Anel because he always stopped every time he saw him out and about. Yeah. Vinny Souza, I know, stopped and took photos with fans, and obviously they're not here anymore, but there's a way of doing it. There's a way of behaving in and around the family. And I know it might be a pain, and I know fans might come up to you at wrong time, and you've a right to say no. Of course you have. But we're talking about a match day when you're coming in to play the game. Yeah. And you're expecting to be bumping into a load of fans on your way in, and it's 5 minutes of your time. It's a 5 minutes. 5 minutes of your time. You'd rather go in through a hotel because you know that you're not going to get bothered by anybody. Come down outside door, lads. Nobody will bother you there.
It's crazy, man.
Well, that's just one. That's just one small example. But tonight on the field, the mask slipped completely, and he could not control his temperament or his temper, and I wonder that the real thing I'm wondering about is, does Selles agree with what the fan base appears to have seen tonight? Does he think it was intentional to get sent off because Selles knows he wants a move, but does he think that was intentionally unprofessional from Robinson to orchestrate a move? And if he does, he will never play for us again. I don't care how short we are at the back.
Yeah, I would hope so, and it would show the fans that he's not a yes man, is it? So
that's right.
Look, you're not playing for us again.
Yeah.
You can. I said you're not going anywhere until we bring somebody in, so you can have the weekend off. Well, off you go.
What I haven't and I don't mean to keep you, pal, because I've got a load of comments to get through, but I haven't spoken to you directly about this yet. What do you think to the situation that Sayers is in at the moment? Do you think he's partly to blame? Do you think he's been hung out to dry? Do you think it's a bit of both? Do you think he's had huge tests at him already? Like this Robinson decision is a really big decision for him now because we are so short going into Swansea. But if he thinks he's been pillicking and messing about, he's got to take him out of the team, and that may face criticism as well. What's your thoughts on Ruben Selles at minute, pal?
I like him. I think, what he said on his presser the other day, that we can't afford to let anybody go now. Yeah. Unless we bring in replacements.
Yeah.
And he's got, well, according to reports, he's got 2 players that are wanting to go, Robbo and RMD. Mm-hmm. And he's more or less said to the board, you've now got to bring these players in.
Yeah.
My worry is that, we've seen all the assets, strippers, and, they've got no... And the longer it goes without us getting somebody in, the more worried I start to get.
I understand it. And we try and justify it in our own minds sometimes. And I come out and say the same in terms of, look, we don't know how they're operating. We can only hope that there are signing. Well, I know there's a lot, as a lot of people do, know that there's a lot of conversations going on. But it's not about how close you can get on certain deals. It's getting the deals done, isn't it? And it's
and we seem to be. I mean, we could have had wooing 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we could have had it all tied up, subject to the paperwork, couldn't we? And now
we need a right back. All right, he's got a release clause of $3.5 million. Let's pay it.
Yeah.
Let's pay it. We've had good reports on him. Let's pay the money.
We'll pay it. Pending paperwork coming through. But now it's an open market job, isn't it? And we might not get him. So it's a concern. It's a real concern. Anything else you want to comment on, pal, before I let you go?
No, I'm going to go to bed now and put the drops in the eye again. That takes me about 10 minutes. So
no worries, pal. Oh, you get better soon.
It's just a part of being old, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not far behind you, to be fair. So I'm sure I'll be facing it soon.
Yeah, I'm only 33 now. So
Well, 32. I'm catching you up.
I'm 37 actually, mate.
All right. Yeah, we all lie a little bit. I'm 35. So
I just turned the numbers around, you know.
My dad started doing that. Yeah, my dad started doing that. Right, pal.
That's a good boy, mate.
Yeah, true. All right. See you soon, Dave. Thanks for calling, pal.
Good night, Jimmy.
See you in a bit. Good night, mate. Thank you to Dave Morwood, channel legend. Absolutely brilliant having him on. Love having a chat with him. Always brings a bit of a smile to my face, no matter what we are going through as a club. So thank you to Dave for doing that. Luke says, I do think the manager has to take some responsibility. The way we played was beyond embarrassing and was embarrassed to be a Blade. Never said that before and just got gutted regarding the direction we're going in. Matt says, this system of pressing seems to always leave someone unmarked for the other team. I assume they're all supposed cover positions to avoid this, but that needs players on the same page. They're not. I'm going to try now and make sure. I mean, we've a little bit of time left in the show, but with so many comments that I haven't yet got to, I'm going to try and skip down and make sure everybody has at least one comment read. So I apologise if I don't read one of your comments, but I'm going to try and make sure everybody gets at least one comment read. And I know several people comment 6, 7, 8 times, which I really appreciate. But sometimes when it's so emotional like tonight, we just get floods of comments in. So I'll read what I can. Up the Blades Footy Fanatic says, I thought defensively we were better than against Bristol City. In possession we were awful. But Peck next to Samare and play the 4-2-3-1 with Hamer in the 10. Sorry, O'Hare. I felt for Adam Davis. 2 goals he had no control over. Phil says, hello Jimmy. Ruben needs to get these defenders in before Saturday. Robinson looked like he wanted a red card. His attitude didn't look good. Up the Ramble. Fantastic football show. Thank you, mate. We do try. J69 says, Gus looked so disappointed at full time. Honestly feel like it's over before it started this season. Rai says Sayers looks fuming in his post-match. I'll be looking forward to seeing that. Sort of. The view from the mountain is that we need 3 or 4 physically dominant players, leadership, strength and personality. That's what gets you out of a slump. This result means nothing. Opportunity to prove a point to the manager and it's not happened. Robbo is done. Centre back for Saturday, please. Money men. View from the mountain. Thank you, Paolo. One of our huge contributors to the channel, who is now going away on his Ollie Bobs. So have a great time, pal, and we'll see you when you come back. We've actually got a View from the Mountain recorded that'll come out on Friday morning that me and Paul did yesterday. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Have a good time, mate, and I'll catch up with you soon. Regal Smokes says Louis Marsh, Curtis and Sasnauskas looked so nervous on the ball. I know they don't have any minutes overall, but they denied a lot of potential attacks. Yeah, possibly that's fair. I thought out of possession in terms of the defensive side of things, Curtis looked okay and Sasnauskas looked okay second half. But in possession, I don't think any of them were great. I think that's very fair. Cart Catcher LUFC says, honest questions, what's Dom Calvert-Lewin like? Well, we can't honestly give a proper appraisal of him because we had him for what? Half a season before he went. He was a young kid when he left us for £1 million. So I couldn't tell you honestly. From an outsider looking in at his career, just my opinion would be that you've picked up somebody who went through a purple patch. I think he is a good finisher by trade, but I think his injury record is horrific, and I really hope he can stay fit because we really like him as a kid. He's a blade, which will certainly not affect his performances for you, obviously, but it means we want him to do well in his career. Big mates with Tom Davis, as a lot of us know as well, who plays for United, so there'll be a connection there all the way through anyway. I think there's a player in there, but I do fear that on the money is probably going to be on for you, that you might be getting a Premier League version of Pat Bamford, and he's very rarely going to be available. I hope I'm wrong. I honestly hope I'm wrong, because we want nothing but best for our own. So, thumbs up to Dom. Hope you do well, pal. Carmen Rain Sound says, I'll be honest, Jim, this team is awful. Maybe Sayers, maybe the owners, maybe the players, but watching us is hideous, and we had next to no chances this game. Honestly, awful. 180 Sammy says, even as an outsider looking in, you were justified on how you feel about Robinson, because I think everyone else can see it too, and I'm not a blade. Thank you, mate. That does reassure me a little bit, because I am very conscious that I am OTT sometimes with it. Never intentionally, but I do let my emotions get better at me. I'm not a professional presenter, or I've not been trained. I've not studied journalism. I'm certainly not tech savvy, as a lot of you know. And I think that's probably what some of the appeal of the channel is to people, that I'm just an ordinary fan that speaks me honest truth. And that's what we always try and do on channel, is just be honest with people. And I can't help it sometimes. My emotions will boil over, and maybe I've been slightly out of order in how I've gone in on him tonight. But that's my honest opinion as a fan. That's if I was sitting down with you in the pub and I were talking to you about it. This is exactly what I'd say. This is exactly what I'd be saying to my dad and Aunt Sal in car on way home, and they'd be saying exactly the same back to me. I know they would. So that's the reality of being a football fan, isn't it? Only positive was Samari slotted in effortlessly, says Mark Meldrew. Marsh, Sassy, Curtis, McCallum, all not good enough. Owners aren't going to spend. Rough ride this season. And One's not good enough either. I agree with you about One. Looked poor tonight. Chris Black says, we're all overreacting. Let's judge them at the end of the window. Yes, it's been slow, but we need to back the team. I'm always conscious of this at the back of my mind, and Chris is probably right. But we are in the middle of the emotional part of it, aren't we? Like after Bristol City, I can sort of gather my thoughts a little bit now, and then bang, this happens again tonight. I know it's only 2-1, but it could have been a lot worse. The other thing is, it is the second team, so I've got so many conflicting emotions in my head that why am I being so harsh on our reserve team that narrowly lost to a good Birmingham side? There's all different kinds of ways you can spin it, aren't there? But my honest opinions and my honest emotions in it are, it could have easily been 4-5-6, and it won to flat at Birmingham. We were much the second best tonight, and that was the concern for me. Not bothered about the results as a 17, just know it's the end for Hamer now, season over for us. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, because there's a few things I'd say about that. Scott says, why do we play such a weak team? We played one game. It's not like they're tired. Get them playing together. We've handed that to Brum, and it could have been more. It's another loss we didn't need. One shot on target all game, and it came from inside their half, in the centre circle, about as close as we got to their box. Yeah. John says, back past Brooks was outstanding again. Get ready with me, says Sunderland fan. Soft spot for United. It's worrying the outgoings you've had, and lack of replacements is concerning. Sayers was a weird appointment, and not bad, but nowhere near what United should have got. Thank you. Get ready with me. Much appreciated. I'm just thinking, I've not recognised your name before, so I'm just seeing how many new subscribers we've got. We're 12 away from 9k, and on the current count. I know it doesn't say it here because it says it's my count when I started, and it rounds up or down to nearest 10. But yeah, we're on 8988 at the minute. Can we get to, before I finish this stream in 15 minutes ish? Can we get to that 9k? That'd be incredible. Lee says, I did enjoy that last year in League One. We get a good amount of away tickets. Oh dearie me. Chris says it'll be too late by the end of the window. Toronto Blade says we have gaps in our starting 11 and we have no depth. It's a mess. How has it got to be a mess so quick? John says, evening all, entertaining game. Obviously, I'm happy we won. How it was so close, I don't know. Me neither, pal. Me neither. Thought Robinson was lucky to stay on. Not sure what was up with him. What a goal by Hamer, mind. Thank you for coming on and joining us, pal. I thought you were fully deserving of the win. I'm going to say the 3 points then. The win. I was embarrassed. If you saw any of our watch along at all, we were embarrassed when we scored. We were delighted, and what a goal it was. Obviously, we're always pleased to score, but it was slightly embarrassing that we were even anywhere near being level. L-Dog says, I'm just depressed, to be honest. I'm worried for this season. After this start, quality of team. At the start, the quality of team just isn't good enough for top half. Push, and there's zero evidence that the owners are going to fill the gaps. Adrian says, Jimmy, enjoying your content, even though things aren't going well for Sheffield United. Only creator I follow that's not Leeds. Have a successful year. See you in the taxi. Thank you, Adrian. We'll be back in the taxi soon. I haven't been back in since I've got back from holiday because we've been catching up. We lost an awful lot from the channel when it got deleted while I were away. For those that haven't heard that, then there's a little bit about it on the channel. Just wow. But anyway, we're past that. We are recovering. I've been on an awful lot trying to catch up and get back in front of things. Deleted all my future posts and all that sort of stuff. We're grateful to be here. And thank you for your continued support. Jamie Dumpling says, we'll join the call in, but the coach has Park Life on 100 volume, so we'll leave it as you'll get copyright claimed. Don't know why people are kicking off. This is a hard ground. Ipswich couldn't get a win, and we've put together half a squad. Well done, Blades. Nice from Jamie Dumpling, nice and positive. He is doing our ramble on the road. That is being condensed even further from the last one that you saw. That'll now be a short on the channel. That'll be like a 3 minute, less than 3 minute for Ramble on the Road. Really punchy, really sharp. We're going to try a new format with it, and hopefully it'll add to what we're offering. I'm trying to streamline everything we're doing as a channel because I want to be able to be on top form every time we're here to put content out, and some of the edits that we're getting less views than our lives, we're taking me a lot of time to edit because I'm not an editor. Like I say, I'm not a trained editor or anything like. We're not in a position where I can hire someone to do the editing. Other channels I know have got editors and other people working for them. We can't do that. We ain't got that luxury yet, but we'll get there. We will get there. We're grinding. We keep trying to grow. So thank you to everybody, and particularly Jamie and the lads and lasses that contribute to our Ramble on the Road, because I really enjoy that as a series. OK365 says, I think that Sayers will be unfairly sacked in January. No signings. We need a bigger squad. Build some culture of the club. It looks so thin. Lee says it's giving Slav vibes, I think is going for there. If I can say it, easy for me to say. Matt says very poor, but as expected with the lineup. They made 6 changes too, though. I'm sure Sayers hinted at getting 2 players in today. Sayers' first win for Hull was against Swansea. Yes, he did hint at 1 to 2 players in the next 48 hours, I think he said, from his press conference, and that was yesterday. So he said it wouldn't be in time for this game, and I thought he meant it wouldn't be in time to register him to play for this game, but obviously we've even gone past that. Birmingham made 6 changes, but I think for the first game of the season they were undercooked anyway in terms of not playing their new signings that will contribute to the side. So Tommy Doyle and Cash In, I would expect to be starters in their side going forward. So they made a couple of changes, but that were a really strong Birmingham side. Don't get that mixed up from me. Neil says, Blues fan here, you changed 10 players from the Bristol game. That tells me the cup was not important to you. You don't become bad overnight. Robinson was lucky to stay on the field. What a fantastic goal. You'll be there at the end of the season. Good luck, Blades fans. Thank you, Neil. Some really gracious Birmingham fans coming in. And thank you for your kind words. I thought you were fully deserving, as I've said before. Fully deserving tonight. George says, this is really problematic now, even with the new additions. I don't see any change. There's no playing style at all. You could have Messi in this team and wouldn't make no difference. Shame, as this is the season. Yes, Joe says, Jim, it's evident that when Cooper's not in goal, Davis is not comfortable with his feet to play a 30-yard pass over the pressing winger's head or have the composure to use his feet. Pray Cooper stays. Cooper will stay. I'll be amazed, absolutely amazed if Cooper goes. Absolutely amazed. But I didn't think Adam Davis did poorly tonight. I'm not a huge Adam Davis fan, but I don't think you can blame him for tonight. Similar vibes to the start of the Premier League season under Eki, says Adam. Square pegs in round holes as a result of poor recruitment, resulting in us going into games unprepared and on the back foot. Feel for Sayers right now. Carl says it's all very well United waiting for the better players to be released later in the window, but so are Southampton, Ipswich, Leicester, Birmingham, and every other person, every bugger else, he says. Tom Leeks says, and that's a very good point, by the way. Well said, Carl. Tom Leeks says, I'm sorry, but how could they have had 5? But how could they have had 5? How many saves from Davis? 0. How many hit woodwork? 0. Cleared off the line? 0. Give it a rest. Have you watched the same game? Have you watched the same game, Tom? Do you honestly believe that they couldn't have scored more goals than they did? They scored 2. Kyogo, he was 1-on-1. He got let in by Louis Marsh. Clear. Should have scored. He got let in by Sasnauskas. Clear. Tried to chip the goalkeeper. Should have scored. We laid it on a plate for him. That's at least 4 that they'd have scored. And there were definitely more in the game. They scored from a corner that were disallowed because Sam McCallum had fouled somebody and it should have been a penalty. Tom, you give it a rest, pal. You give it a rest. Andrew says, Bindon very poor. He's no good. Just like Robinson, Cannon, neither, Brewster. I think I'm giving Bindon more time. And with a better squad around him, I think he'll be a good player for us. Isa Blade says, don't forget there were a lot of games last season where many of us thought we were very poor and we were saved by individual bits of brilliance. That's true. Bry S20 Blade says, did Robbo stick a transfer request in last Friday? That's why he was benched. His body language looks like he doesn't want to be here. I think that's probably not far off. Morris says, I'm with Jamie Dumpling. Keen Jelly says, you've got to hope that the first 2 results will have made it crystal clear how many players and how much money needs urgently spent to achieve a squad worthy of challenging for at least the top 6. Yeah, you'd hope so, pal. You'd hope so. Wayne says, why did you get rid of Wilder, Jimmy? It was your trump card. 25 million bidding coming tomorrow for Hamer from us. I'll snap your hand off at 25 million. He's at the peak of his value right now, and I would snap your hand off. Should never have got rid of Wilder, says Stu. Is Gus pushing for a move to PSV, Jimmy, says Toddy. Sell Gus, it's game over, says Sam. Evening Jim, says Dan. I know I haven't answered your question, Toddy, but no, I'm going to say. Dan says, evening Jim, I still can't believe we didn't sign Chowdhury on his buy option. At least Samari looks decent. I'm staying optimistic, but after that performance, it's hard. I'm so happy to have Gus still. Yes, me too, pal. Chowdhury, he didn't look great alongside City Peck. Would he have looked better alongside Hamer? Maybe. Red Bull gives you 1. Says, we need to get behind Sayers and we need the owners to get behind Sayers and back him up with some quality players. Robbo has got to go and never wear a Blades shirt again. Up the Blades. Elaine says, we need a centre-back. Up the Blades, she says later on. Who else hasn't had a comment read? Matthew says, United will sign players. The main questions surround whether it will be the players that Sayers wants for his plans or whether data will meddle. Fair. Ben says, with Sayers' style, we can't play in this formation. We need the players we have. With the players we have, we need 3 athletic centre-backs ASAP. Think a 3-4-3 formation we would look at a lot more comfortable. Up the Blades, up all the Rambles, like and subscribe. The view from, a bit of a spoiler, but the view from the mountain on Friday, we discuss the potential formation, a potential formation change due to the way he wants to play. Super Sharp Blade says Sayers will be gone before long. He hasn't got a clue. Wow. Andrew says surely any new players coming in for the weekend would need a medical tomorrow and sign before noon Friday. Not happening. Up the Ramble. Let's have a look. See what else we've got. Footy Social Club. Christian Topman says, we all know the first manager of the season sacking. Don't be like that, pal. You're better than that. What else have we got? I'm going to scroll past a few now because I'm well behind on these comments, as those that are having theirs read will know. James says, don't want to be in the Carabao anyway, mate. You've got to focus on the league so we can tag you in next season. Thank you, pal. Red and White Neon says, are we witnessing Slav Mark 2? But no chance of playoffs this time. Tim Cook says, Samari and Peck in front of the back 4 for me. Callum says, couldn't string 2 passes together. Going to be a tough, long season. Don't have high hopes for Sayers. Hate to admit it. You're not alone. People are starting to doubt Sayers. He surely has some blame to share in this, but I think it's... I don't know what to think, to be honest. Ollie says the result didn't matter, but that performance shows how far off any of the second string are. Feel sorry for the young lads. Most should be on loan in League 2. Also, more rumours of outs, especially in the Plat chat, than ins. It's very worrying. Danielle's just confirmed Zetterstrom is close. I think we've been talking about that for a little while as well, to be honest. Zetterstrom is done, as is the Korean. Somebody been watching our transfer updates, maybe. I hope the Korean is done. That's Wu. And the only thing I'm a little bit concerned about is the lack of it being confirmed yet, which might mean other clubs get a chance to come in at the 11th hour. Divano Jerv says, mate, I reckon Blades won't be able to secure playoff spots. We'll see, mate. We'll see. Brett the Positive Blade. Parachutes in again. Thank you, mate. Here's a positive, Jimmy. £10 for a super chat. Thank you, mate. Treat yourself to a Balti pie against Millwall. You can throw it at Robbo if he's still in the team. Up the Ramble. You are a top man, mate. Johnny the Thank you, Brett. Johnny the Clown says, Marsh Sasnauskas look miles away. Brooks too. Ukaki look just about. Samari is a definite step up. Looks strong, athletic, and a decent ball skills in this limited showing. Chef Jim says, Robbo looked like a man who wants out. Yes, he did. So ignorant to treat kids like that, says Bri, when they only want an autograph. Well, there you go. Alessandro says, Heyman's moment of magic and Samaria are the only positives from tonight. Again, for most, it was dreadful. We've gone from needing 5, a right back, 2 centre backs, and a centre defensive midfielder and right wing to a miracle and a defensive coach or 2. Liam says, we were horribly bad tonight. 10 changes or not. We gave the ball away far too much. Robbo, get rid now, please. Calls himself a leader and a role model. The board needs to back us before it's too late. Completely agree. Diane says, Samaria is like a young Paul Gobert moving around the field with class. Footy Social Club. I know I've read one of yours already, but it's a huge help to the channel. Brilliant show this, Jimmy. Football without fans is nothing. Make sure you're liking and subscribe. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Andy Mack says, still gobsmacked while they got the boot for this guy. What on earth did the owners feel he'd failed at getting to 90 points? 92. He'll tell you we're 92. And it was. Paul Rogers says, makes you wonder if Wilder was a bit scared of Robbo. No chance. To be honest, Robbo should be done in football. No team should want him after that. Ollie Hart says, other than 3 players, this is Wilder's squad. Wilder bottled promotion for us and threw the toys out again. Believe in Sayers, he's the man. Paul Burberry says, evening Jim, hard to take many positives from that performance. Never spoken out before about Jackie Longthrow, but that for a captain was appalling. Deliberate effort to get himself sent off. We are... Milling Chip says, Birmingham look like the team to catch in the champ this season. Early doors though. Layman Firthy says Birmingham are a scary team to go against. I think you can get at Birmingham. I'll be honest. I think they're a good side, and I think they'll go well this season. But I don't think there's going to be anybody on early viewing. Doesn't appear to be anybody that's going to be runaways. James says as a manager who just manages his way regardless. Yeah, I think there's been a lack of adaptability, hasn't there, so far. Paul Rose of Wellstone Landscapes, sponsor of the channel. Thank you for your support, pal. He says, owners need to back this manager, or that's them chucking him under the bus before he's even got going. Agree with that. I'm not saying he doesn't take any responsibility, and nor is Paul, I think, from this comment, but he can't hamstring him before he's even got going. Very concerned, says Matty. Sadly not the Matty your dad wants to buy. Yeah. Kel says, Jimmy, best Sheffield United channel. Hope you get 9k up the Blades, up the Ramble, up behind the... Thank you, Kel. Let's see how we're going with that. We're 5 away. 5 away, and to be honest, we're just about wrapping up. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you enjoy the content, it'd be great if you could help us get to 9k tonight. Fantastic. But if we've no more new commenters, then we'll probably call it. Adrian says, as a blue nose, I feel your pain, mate. Hopefully he'll get it sorted. Good luck for the rest of the season. First time viewer, good, honest podcast. Thank you, mate. We try. That's all we can do, isn't it? You were the better side tonight. And it's not easy for a team that's gone really well past few seasons to sort of say, well done to you. Well, I came on and said the same to Bristol City. I thought they deserved to beat us. It's hard. It's hard for us not to be at least competitive in these games. And I think we gave you a scare, didn't we, with a goal that probably should never have been. Wonder strike, and sometimes you accept those going against you. But the result was justified. We deserved to lose that game, and I thought you were very good. You played a stronger side, even relative to what you've got in your squad. You played a stronger side than us. So I think on balance, that was the likelihood that you were going to nick it. But I thought you more than justified the win. Donny Blade says, we could do with hearing from the owners. The fans deserve a bit of encouragement. Yeah, we could. I'm not sure it's going to happen. I think, from what I understand, what I've been told, and I am fortunate to speak to a couple of people. I'm not a massive ITK. I never have claimed to be, never would. When Prince Abdullah was here, I did have the occasional chat with him, which I was very grateful for. But he was always very professional and wouldn't, as much as people think, He didn't speak to the local media and stuff like that. It was very cordial. I think from what I'm hearing, Stephen Bettis will come out and communicate with the fan base, which is long overdue and much needed. And I think we have to afford them that. We are panicking because we're not hearing anything. And the communication at the club is something we've long since bemoaned. And it's frustrating. We're not entitled to it, unfortunately. But I think it would help the club at this stage in terms of their relationship with the fan base to communicate with us a little bit better. They don't have to. There's no obligation on them to do that. But I think, you know, if they've got any sort of people that are aware of PR in and around the football world, they would understand that the fan base are the heartbeat of your football club, and you cannot lose big chunks of your fan base. Just communicate with us. Just let us know. Just let us know a little bit about the strategy. Just let us know that, look, it's a long... If you have a 5-year plan to get back to the Premier League or a 3-year plan to get back, if you come out and said to us as a fan base, look, we know it's the last year of parachutes, but we want to clear out a lot of the what we might deem to be deadwood, and bring in potential really big... Sorry, I'm just seeing a few little things drop into our chat now. Clear out the potential deadwood and bring in what we deem to be high potential players, and we'll bring in a few championship stalwarts to try and keep us up among those upper echelons. But this is a 3-year plan now to get there. We might not like it, some of us, but we'd accept it because it'd make more sense to us as to what you're doing. But we see this, or I don't mean to speak for the fan base, but I see this as a fan as the last big opportunity, as the second season of 2 in terms of parachute payments, the last big opportunity to go for it again and try and get up. Otherwise, parachute payments are gone. PSR starts to really start to play a role, and you are in and amongst with the other the other people that are the other clubs. Sorry, that are in and amongst it. I'm getting distracted by chat now, so I'm going to have to wrap it up. Thanks to Man Mountain for throwing me off completely. 9K. I want 10. Jim says Brian. Let's have a little look before we finish. 3 away. I'm sure by the next time we're on, we'll have hit it. Thank you to everybody for joining me tonight. Normally I would stay on, but with the result being what it was tonight, it's one of them, isn't it? I've been on a long time. We did a 2.5 hour watch along. I think it'll have worked out to be about, no, it'll be a 2 hour, 2.5 hour watch along. We started at 7:30, and then we've done another an hour and a half talking to everybody about it. So thank you to everybody that's come on and joined me, all my callers, the Platinum Ramblers. You can become a Platinum Rambler right there. I look forward to seeing you there if that's something you want to do. If you don't have to do that to support the channel, but what you can do for free, let's get this on for the last time. Enjoying the content, give us a like. It really helps us giving us a like, because it gets it pushed out to other people. Other people see that people are liking this content. Oh, it's popular. People like it. Subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. What that means is when you go to your page where all your channels are listed that you've saved, if you like, we become one of those. And you can go through that list and you'll find us. If you tap the bell, this is all free, by the way, this element of it. If you tap the bell for notifications, that means it'll pop up on your phone or your device or whatever it might be when the Ramble's coming on. So you'll never miss a Ramble if that's what you want to do. Thank you to everybody that supports us in that way. Keep it Ramble, peeps. As Bryce says, one of our mods, thank you to everybody for their ongoing contributions to this channel. You are what makes us what we are. It is a community channel, if you like. And we have to stick together, don't we? Through good times and bad. So thank you for all your comments. Positive, negative, concerned, not so concerned. We'll do it all together. And I'll be back tomorrow for a Swansea countdown to kick off. Will we have any news on transfers then? You'll have to wait and see. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blades.